In any profession, you have customers or you have clients. But the real question is, do you have the heart to really give them the attention and the information that they really need? We talked to an expert on that on this episode of The Crude Truth.
In 1901, at Spindletop Hill near Beaumont, the future of Texas changed dramatically as, like a fountain of fortune, thousands of barrels of oil burst from the earth towards the sky. Soon, Detroit would be cranking out Model Ts by the millions, and America was on the move, thanks to the black gold being produced in Texas. Now, more than a century later, the vehicles are different, but nothing else has truly changed. Sure, there may be many other alternative energy sources like wind and solar and electric. But let's be honest, America depends on oil and entrepreneurs, and if the USA is truly going to be independent, it has to know the crude truth.
This episode is brought to you by LFS Chemistry. We are committed to being good stewards of the environment. We are providing the tools so you can be too. NAPE Expo, where deals happen. Air Compressor Solutions. When everything is on the line, Air Compressor Solutions is the dependable choice to keep commercial business powered up. Sandstone Group. Exec Crew. Elevate your network, elevate your knowledge. Texas Star Alliance. Pecos Country Operating. Fueling our future.
Well, hello again, and thank you as always for tuning in for another episode of The Crude Truth. Recording here from our Austin studios, downtown Austin, Texas, with the Real News Communications team. What just an amazing year it's already been, and we're still in the first quarter, which is just amazing. And so many things have happened. And right now, you've probably got a lot of individuals out there that watch the show that are starting their own new companies, or they've been at it now for a while and they're getting bigger. And there's just so much more responsibilities that come into play. And yet you still have to take care of those that helped you along the way, maybe people that invested with you, or maybe people that you're now using on a regular basis, and they're coming back to you guys for more and more of your services that you provide, maybe in the oil field or somewhere else. And it's like, how do you continue to just maintain that rapport with those individuals and continue to grow? And so today I wanted to just kind of take an awesome opportunity to talk about that, because it is something that I know that we've struggled with, and tons of growing business out there always struggle with that. It's not about just putting oil in the tanks and selling it, or, selling a widget every day. There's so much more that goes into that. And today I brought on someone that is just a true expert in that, somebody that knows exactly how to communicate between the clients and the CEOs or the C-suite individuals. Today, my guest is Gin Hart. Gin, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Ray?
Doing real well, and
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming in. You are someone that is just always on the go, always busy. So for you to come here to the great state of Texas and do this, thank you so much.
Who could refuse to come to Texas? Right?
Amen to that.
Hey, it's Texas after all.
Yes, it is. And oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. And so thank you coming here to Austin to do this. And, you and I have had a chance to talk a couple times, and, your knowledge in the customer relations and the investment relations world. And I think I'm really making it small. There's so much to it as we've been able to visit about. Mm-hmm. And that was really something that I wanted you to come on today and talk about. And so just again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to expose this area of business that a lot of people don't know about, or they overlook. And there's a big gap out there that needs to be filled. So thank you. Thank you for today.
No problem. Well, tell us, we'll just start this. For those out there that don't know Gin, Gin, what's your background on that?
Okay, well, I have done this globally.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in South Africa for several years, worked for some major companies and organizations there, doing client relations, and decided to come back to the U.S. after a long while and pick that up here. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very much a people person. I love people. I love empowering, motivating people in what they're doing. Mm-hmm. and helping them be the best they can be, you know? So as far as client relations, that is a huge part of it, you know, empowering businesses and companies for growth.
Right. Because, you know, you talk about the growth part. It's like once you've been growing for a while and you've got all these people, all of a sudden you've got all these people.
Yeah.
And you can't, as a C-suite executive or a president, be able to talk to them as much in the beginning, especially not in the beginning, but there's a stage in there where the growth is happening.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, what do I do? And you want to make sure that all these people that have helped you succeed are continuous to be heard. And that was something I thought was real interesting when we had a chance to talk.
Yeah, because, you know, like you just said, you start out, you get this great base of clients, you know, or customers. Right. And in the beginning, obviously, you are there as the owner, the founder, the CEO. You are there connecting with them. You're there being personal with them. But it's unrealistic to think that you can continue your growth and still maintain all of these relationships at that level. But on the same hand, they need that attention. They need that personal experience and connection, right? Especially when it comes to investors, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, because investors have invested. Right, yeah. So they're not, you know, per se just a customer or a client. They're an investor in your business. Right. And so staying connected with them is super important. And it does get difficult at times. So that's where we come in and try and fill that gap for companies and C-suite.
I think that's great the way you just made a difference between a client or a customer and an investor. And I think that's sometimes things that we don't see, that there is a big difference. You know, you've got great people with a product that they're buying, that's a customer, that's a client, and you want them to continue to be happy because they're bringing you in a revenue source, right? Then you've got investors over here that are doing some of the same things, but it's really not, right? You know, the money's still coming in. So I'm glad that you really made a key point to make a difference there. You know, on the customer side of things, you know, what are y'all doing and how do y'all tell the C-suite people to let y'all handle it and do things, and how do y'all do that?
Yeah, well, you know, most companies have their sales team that really stay connected with those type of customers. So a lot of times, each company, each CEO, each investor has their own way they like to make things work within their organization, which makes sense. So it can vary from business to business what they want their client relations person to do. However, a lot of times with customers, it's a matter of going back and going, are you happy? Are things good? Are we providing the service that you need? Is there anything you feel we could do better to serve you? Right. And that's so important because as a CEO, as a founder, you are out there, you know, running around, keeping the business going. You're, you know, from dusk till dawn, you know, everybody knows as a founder, you know, and CEO, that's life. Right. That's just the way it is. So you don't always have the time to double back with your customers and say, how are we doing? Are you happy? Because there's retention. You want to retain that. You don't just want to get that customer. That's great, but you have to know how to retain them because today there's so much competition. There's so many people that are going to come and try and offer a better price, a better deal, you know, and take those people. So it's super, super important that your customers are happy with the service that they're getting from you. So that's kind of one of the areas we step in and make sure that your clients and customers are happy.
Wow. So then let's talk about the other side of that, you know, with investors, which again, it's a totally different reason why they're giving you cash or investing in you. So where do you see that, and where do you see? Let's talk about that first, and I'll ask another question.
Yeah. So my real first experience with that was working for a foundation.
Okay.
And the foundation was building homes. And so we needed investors to invest in this nonprofit so that we could carry out, the vision of the nonprofit. So it was my job when it came to the investors to take current investors and stay in touch with them, to meet with them, to do whatever C-suite felt they needed. Mm-hmm. But it was a lot of communication, because these folks, these companies had invested their money in us and obviously wanted to know what's happening, how it's being used. Every investor wants a return on their investment, right?
Right.
We don't invest not to get a return.
Yeah.
So what we did was just stay in touch with them on a personal level, keep them informed of how things were going. Again, are you happy? Do you see anything in us that, we feel, you feel we could improve? And then the other side to that was me going out and making connections with new investors, with new companies, and sharing the vision of what we were doing and inviting them to get on board,
Yeah.
So there was a twofold purpose in that, which I think with any investment, you have your current investors and then obviously new investors, potentials, that all need, yes, they need that one-on-one with a founder, but there's a lot of follow-up that needs to be done. And I think a client relations specialist frees up CEOs to keep things moving, while we do a lot of follow-up.
Yeah.
And there's also, I like to call it a liaison. Okay. Because we sometimes become a liaison between investors and the CEO. Let's say you're out in the field doing whatever, you're not reachable. Yeah. But you have an investor or a client that really feels there's a pressing matter. If you have a liaison, if you have a client relations specialist, this is somebody that your clients and your investors know that at the drop of the hat, if they can't get a hold of you, they're going to be able to get a hold of me and know that I can get through to you.
Right, yeah.
And I am going to fast track what they need or their concern that they have.
Yeah.
Because it's unrealistic to think that you as a CEO, as a founder, are going to be able to sit and answer 20 phone calls, 20 emails a day, answer questions. So it's that person in between that sort of becomes a buffer.
Right. Yeah.
Is one way of looking at it.
Well, as you do this, what is one thing that you see that's always been missing? Like when you go into a new company, what is one thing that's like, that's the most common thing that these CEOs and these companies are missing as far as getting in contact or connecting with the investors and clients?
Yeah. I think it's just the busyness. One of the things I've really seen lately is I have seen some of our CEOs and founders who are running rampant from Atlanta to Denver, then to Chicago, then to Houston, and are literally exhausting themselves.
Right.
Because they are trying to be everywhere at once.
Right.
And I would say that is one of the biggest things I see right now happening. Because after 2020, a lot of budgets were cut. A lot of people at different levels were let go. And so a lot of C-suite has had to take on a lot of things they didn't have to before 2020. So we like to step in and help with that process. You know, you are in Atlanta meeting with someone, but you really have somebody in Houston that needs time, that needs to be heard,
Right.
that needs connection. So we jump in, go meet with that person, go meet with that investor, go meet with that client, and let them know that they are important. Because at the end of the day, it's about making sure that your clients, your investors, your customers all realize a genuineness that they are an important part of what's going on.
Right. So I guess just sending them a check every month isn't enough, right? I mean, that's the truth.
I mean, it's not bad.
But it's not bad. No, but no, no. Having someone there to talk to them and do that, I think probably goes tenfold on top of just that.
Yeah, and as far as investors, you know, just keeping them abreast of what is going on. What's currently happening this month, you know, where are we at? Because that's what they want to know. So that's kind of what we do.
Well, what made you get into that? Like, what was it about it? I mean, I know you said that you were in South Africa, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but what made you get into the customer relations side of things?
I think it just kind of fell into my lap, actually. Like I said, I've always been a real people person. I love people.
Right.
I love interacting with people. And I was doing some different things, had my own consulting firm there in South Africa, and met with this foundation, was introduced to them, and they were just like, oh my God, you know, we would love to have you help us out. They saw a need for it. Mm-hmm. And so they were just like, we'd love to have you help us out with our contributors, our investors, because it's just getting so much.
Right.
And so that's what I did. They kind of like were my first client I took on with that, and loved it and kind of cut my teeth there. And then when I came back here, it was kind of something that just came naturally.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you go in, so somebody calls you up and says, Jen, hey, we want you to come on board. Mm-hmm. You know, what's your process that you normally go through with a place like this?
Well, it depends.
Okay.
Each company is different. Obviously, as a client relations person, we want to learn and know everything about the company that we can. Because anybody in oil and gas industry will tell you that there's nothing worse than having a pretty face show up out on location and they don't have any idea what they're talking about.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And we know that happens a lot, okay? I'm not downing it, I'm just saying you need to know what you're talking about, right? If somebody comes to me representing another company, but they really don't know what they're talking about, I'm probably not going to want to speak to them again, right? So as a client relations person, it's very important that you understand the ins and outs, ups and downs, purpose, vision, forecast of who you're representing. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a huge one. And so that's kind of where it starts. And then, you know, the logistics vary from there, from company to company. Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. What a deal. And I can't imagine just doing all that and having to, that's a lot. I mean, it really, really is. And I say that thinking back to myself that, you know, we do that and it's like, it is a lot. And that's a full-time thing. And that's not even 9 to 5, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably even more than that.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things that it can be 9 o'clock at night or 7 a.m. When somebody tries to reach out to you. But that's one of the things that you try to do is make yourself available as that liaison, as that connection person.
Right.
Yeah, it's really important.
Wow, that's so much. And I mean, I just think about it, and you know, you're definitely bridging that gap of a company that is continuing to expand. Because again, like you said, at some point, in order to keep growing, one, obviously I would say you got to bring more people on.
Yeah.
But you also have to be strategic in who you want to bring on, because it's like, you don't want to do this, or what path do you want to take?
Yeah. And I think it's so important to get this message out because there is a gap. A lot of companies that don't even realize that they need this until they see the difference it makes.
Right.
And once they see the difference it makes, then they're hooked, with needing this in the company. And so, I think that the more people have an understanding of it, the more it's going to help their company with growth and acceleration. It's just part of growth.
And that's, I think you put those two together, and I know it's growth and acceleration, but it's like if you can actually have somebody, allow them to help out with what you've got in a way, right? Let you go attend and find more, and then that growth, but really we're going to see that growth accelerate and grow from there, which then means that, hey, everybody's still making $1 and being cared for, which I think at the end of the day is the most important part.
To make $1? Yeah. Or be careful?
No, both. Take care of people and make $1. Well, in the oil and gas industry, safety is always number one. So safety is always number one.
That is a big one. Yes. And, it's so exciting to see what is going on in oil and gas industry right now. And, of course, anybody that, has a forward-thinking mentality in oil and gas industry right now realizes that it's getting ready to explode like never before. And having people in place to do client relations is better to have what you need there than to play catch up.
Right.
And get behind. Now I have to hire a client relations person to try and help me out. But to have one on deck already, so as the growth comes, the acceleration, you're prepared. Because it's better to be prepared than play catch up.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's, I always like to say I'm not trying to catch up, I'm trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you can get ahead, then, hey, you know what, you hopefully won't mess up, but if you do, you're already ahead of everybody else still.
Absolutely.
Jen, with everything you've got going on, how can people reach out and get with you and your team to dive in and maybe get a consultation and see, how it is that you and your team can help?
Yeah, I think probably one of the easiest business platforms to reach me is on LinkedIn at Gin Hart, and just shoot me a message, and I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone that is interested or just has questions. So I'd love to hear from anybody that's interested, that sees a need. And that's one of the great things I respect about you, is that you were so interested in this. And when we first began to talk, you were like, oh my God, wait, tell me about this.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a lot that's a very positive thing, to where, again, you can remove certain things from what the C-suite is doing to allow them to continue to do the positives that they were doing, and still keep everything, just as important.
Yeah.
Because there's that one part that isn't less important. And it's like, so that's the thing that always kind of thinks about. It's like, yeah, but if I'm not doing that, is it not important? But it really, really is. It's just you're letting somebody else do it. Yeah.
And I think here's another aspect of it that we haven't really discussed is having someone on your team that attends meetings, investor dinners, things like that, gets to know your investors. That is not on the outside, but just can see the whole picture. Because sometimes as a founder, it's hard to see the whole picture when it comes to our investors, right? So there have been times when I have attended things with clients of mine, companies, and afterwards have said to the CEO, I really have a weird feeling about this. Something didn't sit well. They said this, they said that. And they would be like, really, you think so? And we would have this whole discussion around why. And I remember one particular instance, I had said to a CEO, I said, no, I need you to watch this guy. He's going to try and screw you over, I promise you. And he's like, no, we've been in it 7 years. I'm like, okay. I said, but because he said this, and we know this is happening, I said, just be aware. And lo and behold, about 6 months later, that guy tried to do exactly what I told him. And he said to me, he said, thank God you were there. I didn't see it. Yeah. He said, we're humans, and having another person's perspective who's basically looking out for our company became so valuable because they were ready for what that company was going to try and do.
Yeah.
Because it was already in the back of their mind that this is a possibility. So it's really great to have somebody by your side that you trust has the best interest of your company and you as a founder at heart. So, yeah.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
What a story. Well, again, Jen, you've definitely shed so much light on this because, again, I don't know how many oil and gas companies out there. Again, you said it about the industry. We're primed. We're ready to go for a big influx, big increase over the next several
Drill,
years.
baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. Yes. And we want to see all these companies survive and thrive. And thrive. And it's like, hey, what can we do now to get ahead of when it really gets going? Mm-hmm. And so I just cannot thank you enough for that.
Yes, I'm excited what is going on. Mm-hmm. It's just been such a shot in the arm in oil and gas industry recently. And I think, recent events obviously haven't hurt at all. So it's going to be great. It's going to be a great year. There's going to be a lot of growth. And I think everybody's anticipating that. So let's, work together. Let's get companies thriving and making money and excelling and doing what we do here in America, which is be great.
I love it. I love it, Jen. Oh my gosh, I think that's the best right there. We're going to end it right there with that. Let America continue to be great and
Absolutely.
Make America great. Well, Jen, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you so much for coming on.
You.
And to everybody out there, please, if you're looking to only continue to expand your company, your business, what you have going on in 2025, 2026, because I think what I heard was that Jen is very excited that President Trump is back in office. I won't confirm or deny. She was very politically correct, which was also pretty interesting and positive there as far as client-investor relations go. But anyway, don't hesitate to reach out to her, Gin Hart. And thank you all, as always, for watching another episode of The Crude Truth. We'll see you next time.
Again, The Crude Truth would like to thank today's sponsors: LFS Chemistry, NAPE Expo, Air Compressor Solutions, Sandstone Group, Exec Crew, Texas Star Alliance, Pecos Country Operating, and Real News Communication Network.
The easiest way to start your own podcast and TV show? Real News Communications Network. Stand out from your competition. Produce streams of high-quality social media content. Become a thought leader in your industry. With RNCN, you get to be the host. We handle everything else. Tour one of our 3 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Colony. Call 972-402-6333 or visit launchashow.com to find out more.